Hi, I'm calling on behalf of the president. Just wanted to remind you to get out and vote. Thanks so much. Hi, I'm calling on behalf of Governor Mitt Romney. I just wanted to remind you to get out and vote. Hi, calling on behalf of Governor Mitt Romney, the president of the United... Just whoever you vote for, make sure you vote. Thanks for tuning in to Kalb's Connections, your one-stop shop for AP Gov. As you remember, yesterday we talked about the reasons for the Electoral College. We have this incredibly complicated system that many Americans don't understand, but it is vitally important to this election process. Even though there are reasons for it, there are also gigantic problems with it. Today's goal is to examine the flaws with the Electoral College. The first flaw I alluded to in our previous podcast, and that is electors for each state are not bound by that state's popular vote. So, tonight we will hear our results, and who won the popular vote, they will become the president-elect. But when each state's electors go to cast their ballot in December, they are not constitutionally bound to follow the will of their state. As I said in our last podcast, if they do not follow the will of the state, they are what we call faithless electors. And while a faithless elector has never swayed the outcome of election, most elections have at least one faithless elector. We remember from our previous podcast that there are reasons for that. If an elector feels that their citizens were misinformed, they're able to go against the will of the state, but many argue that this is a problem. If your elector is not forced to follow what you tell them to vote, what's the point in voting at all? Many people wonder that same question. Let's take a look at this video making fun of that very idea.
This November, you gotta get out and vote. It's all about democracy, y'all. Your vote gets counted with the rest of the votes in the country, and they get sent off to the Electoral College. What's that? The Electoral College are a bunch of officials who do the voting for us. So in case we elect the wrong person, they can fix their shiz.
Whoa, hold up. Who the hell are these people?
Well, no one knows for sure, but whoever they is, they the folks who actually do the real voting after we do our pretend vote. Yeah!
Power to the people.
Hold the on!
You're telling me our votes don't matter?
Our votes are like suggestions.
So this November we should...
Yeah! Dunk the vote!
Here's a current electoral map for the United States showing how many electoral votes each state has. Now, in order to do our next problem or our next flaw with the Electoral College, I'm going to ask you to do a little math alongside with me. Alright, so our next major flaw is that assuming that each elector follows the will of their state, the person who wins the popular vote might lose the election. We saw that in the 2000 election where Al Gore actually had almost 500,000 more votes than George W. Bush, yet George W. Bush became our president. That is a major flaw. So the flaw is that the winner of the popular vote is not guaranteed the presidency, because we have what is known a winner-take-all system. Basically, all you need is 51% of a state, and you get all of their electors. So going back to our map, if you have 51% of Illinois vote for you, you get all 20 of their electors. You might think it would make more sense that if you get 51% of a state, you would get 50% of their electors. But no, if you get 51% of a state, you get all of their electoral votes. So let's show how that can lead to someone winning the popular vote and losing the presidency. So imagine that the population of Illinois is 12.8 million. You don't need to imagine, that's what it is. Let's say that Obama comes in here tonight and he wins a 90% majority of Illinois. That would give him 11.5 million votes. But how many electoral votes would he have? Even winning it with 90%, all he has is the 20 electoral votes. Now, slide on over and down to Florida, which has roughly 18 million people. Imagine that tonight Mitt Romney wins Florida with 51%. That would give him 9 million votes. So President Obama has 11.5 million votes. Romney has 9 million votes. Who has more electoral votes? If we go back to our map, we see that even though President Obama is up by 2 million votes, he would have 9 less electoral votes because of our winner-take-all system. Obviously, that is a very big flaw. Our last flaw is something that you might have ran into yesterday as you were filling out your electoral map. What happens if no candidate reaches that 270 majority threshold? Well, if that is the case, no candidate gets a majority of the electoral votes. We have a 269 tie, or something happens where a third party comes up and therefore the major two parties don't get as many votes. Then the decision is left for the House of Representatives. Now that might not seem like a big problem, but what happens is that there's a meeting of the House of Representatives, and every state, their representatives to the House of Representatives, gets together and decides who they're going to vote for, and then every state gets one vote. So we thought it was an injustice when you calculated the weight of your vote before. Well, now every state has equal weighted votes, which is awful, right? Because Alaska would be counted the same as California. Wyoming, which only has 6 people living in it, would have the same weight as a vote as California would. So that is clearly an unfair system. What makes it even worse is when those delegates from the House for each state get together to decide on who they're going to cast their vote for. If for some reason all of the representatives in Illinois can't decide who to cast their vote for, we simply skip over Illinois when it comes time to vote. So then, California and Alaska, your vote could be 149th, and so that clearly is a major problem. So while there are some issues with the Electoral College, we know that there are reasons for it. This week we're going to continue to talk about other ways that federalism impacts elections, and we will soon be starting our next unit, which is on political parties and political opinions. Thanks for tuning in to Kalb's Connections, and make sure you're watching tonight for the results.